everyone, and welcome back to the Nexus Gaming Series. I am Bahamut, one of the many hosts this evening. I am joined by Cat Peach on my right and Linehouse on my left. Welcome, everyone. How are you two doing tonight?
I mean, I think we're doing pretty good, pretty excited about this game coming up because we've got CGL White versus gillyShark, which should be a good one. We were actually talking before we went live. These teams are pretty currently evenly matched right now, Linehouse.
Yes, they are, but you have to forgive me. I was actually looking at the portrait synergy, and they all have morale on one team on CGL White, and on gillyShark they have Brightwing, which is obviously the best pairing ever of two supports. So I've already forgotten what the question was.
So we were discussing just a bit ago. So both these teams are currently like sitting neck and neck in standings in Division B East, which is going to make this very interesting. It's not very often that we get teams in NGS that are so evenly paired. So, I mean, I'm pretty excited for that matchup.
No, it should be a good game. I mean, if you remember correctly, gillyShark made it pretty far last season in NGS Season 4 for Division B. CGL White, I believe, is a new team, but they've been on a winning streak lately. I think they dominated one game, and then they went 1-1 after a slow start. So it should be a good game we have going up tonight.
Yeah, and I do believe you actually had some keys that you want to hit on before we actually got into the first draft here. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those over on the screen so you can at least kind of get in some of these details for these teams.
Oh yeah, so for gillyShark, I head on there, control the map, and grab camps at ideal times. Looking at the Stats of the Storm, they seem to be doing a pretty good job of doing that already, of getting camps. They have a pretty high camp time average. The issue is that how long the camps actually survive are kind of on the lower end on the average. So it kind of indicates that they're grabbing them at maybe less than ideal time. So if they could, maybe perfect that a little bit more, maybe they can get a little bit more value out of the camps. For CGL White, limit their deaths, make safe rotations. Obviously, that's a really good way to win, right? Don't die.
That is an absolutely
It's not the win condition, but it definitely helps out a bit, I would say.
It is definitely those are some great points, and it is really good to note that like these teams do have weak points, they do have strong points. But I think at this point we're gonna get some readies out of these two teams, and we're gonna get going to this. But as we're kind of getting going, kind of Linehouse, a little bit of maybe some predictions before we get into this draft here.
I am going to go with CGL White. Oh, I take it back. I'm sorry. Yeah, they picked CGL White, picked Brex's holdout, correct?
Yes, they did.
That's the team I'm going for, because I feel like if you're picking Braxis, you have a plan and you're ready to bring it on that map.
That's true. Cat Peach, any thoughts of yourself? Just purely looking at these map bans and everything so far.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree that the pick on Braxis rather than any team banning, especially CGL White, definitely says a lot. A lot of teams aren't necessarily willing to come to Braxis holdout as much anymore. The other thing to note, too, is that gillyShark tonight, at least, is not playing with their normal main support, Kaimo Tripson, and Stark will be filling that support role instead. And so even though Stark has shown he can be flexible, he's been able to sub for Jinxie Cat on that main tank role earlier this season. There's always something there that you have to watch out for when a player is playing a role that is not necessarily their comfort.
Well, let's go ahead and find out. We've got readies from both teams, and we are going to go ahead and get ourselves here into game number 1 on Braxis holdout. I don't know about you, Cat Peach, but I am ecstatic for this draft. I
am pretty ecstatic as well. Again, we don't get to cast these as much, and I think given the small map size, there are some very interesting things that can definitely happen on Braxis holdout. And when we're looking at how these teams rotate or choose to simply maybe just hold one beacon and how that plays out, the hero synergies that we ended up seeing and the strategies tend to be vastly different than a lot of the standard maps that we go to.
That is really true, and it's these tight plays in the bottom lane are going to be really what show from either team. I mean, early dominance on this map, I wouldn't say has been mitigated by the changes that have come into the Zerg wave, but they've definitely, you do have to adjust your playstyle a little bit because it's no longer, rush it down the lane with the Zerg wave. We're now looking for a more strategic push, and you get a little bit of it's a slower push, but you still need to have someone in bottom lane still clearing out. So, the draft for that Gul'dan, that Jaina, that Kael'thas, I think that's going to be in a bit of a priority, at least in this ban phase, too.
Yeah, for sure. And we already saw the Phoenix ban coming out from gillyShark, and we all know that Planet Cracker is extraordinarily great at cleaning out those Zerg wave, especially those backside Guardians, and taking care of them right away. And so, great ban there, showing that gillyShark really wanting to bank on not having their waves cleared immediately after they spawn. So, good call there. The Genji call ban also pretty great. You don't need that ninja popping in between those very short lanes and ruining your day. And the Garrosh and the White Mane, pretty standard, I think. The White Mane, we've been seeing a lot of bans coming out since she's been eligible for play.
Yeah, the other thing too is Genji being able to burn down the boss so quickly on this map that is still just a thing that these teams don't want to deal with. So the start here, the Deckard being picked up, the high prioritization for that, and then we're gonna get that Kael'thas and a Muradin with that. Kael'thas, having great poke, having great clear into the Zerg wave, having great beacon control, and then Muradin just being a really, really good initiator into a lot of these team fights, as well as having some great control within their own team, and that baseline trait of being able to heal back up. That's a great aspect to sustain on these points for a very long time. But what do you think that we kind of get? Ooh, interesting. Okay, we do get that priority onto the wave clear very early.
Yeah, for sure. The Johanna is definitely a Jinxie Cat special. Linehouse, I actually wanted to ask, given the case that Kael'thas was prioritized so highly for CGL White, what do you see being the really key factors that they need to keep in mind for the rest of their draft? What kind of heroes do you think they're going to probably consider in order to make sure that Fireboy is very, very protected?
They're going to need something to be strong in the top lane. Honestly, if I was inside of gillyShark right now, I'd be looking to ban out Yrel, because if they grab Yrel for their top lane after this ban phase, that's going to be great in the later team fights when you do need to protect that Kael'thas. Yrel has great utility in just kind of controlling fights. That Righteous Hammer is a great aspect, and they're going to ban it out right away. And then just being controlled in top lane. Yrel is a bully in that lane, and I absolutely love that ban. But they're going to go ahead and have the Kerosene picked up. I mean, things to protect Kael'thas. You can go to Divine Palm, get that last second hit, and then you turn the fight around as they also grab the Worgen Greymane for the rest of the team. I like this draft on the side of CGL White, honestly, Cat Peach.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Genji having that very easy chunking down of the boss here on Braxis holdout. Greymane, if you can't get the Genji, also really great at being able to take out that high health, valuable target here on this map. So I like that pickup there. A bit more dive, so watch out for that Muradin really going in with that Greymane along with that Kerosene to really focus down on that Gul'dan, on that Deckard, to get them out of the fight as soon as possible, because Scrollless Ceiling coming out from Deckard all the time can cause so much issues if you are CGL White. Follow up support, Alex Staraza coming out here. Very close quarters, so very interested to see how the Dragon Queen is going to fare here.
I'm actually going to go ahead and pull it back to our cameras here really quick, as we are going to be loading in just a second. Honestly, between these two teams, you asked about, Kael'thas, what they need to protect them, and this Kerosene, the Alex Staraza with the point control, this double support's going to be great. The other thing, though, Junkrat. I mean, Junkrat has so much displacement with that concussion mine that being able to remove that backline member and put them in a very risky spot, that's exactly what they needed. And I honestly got to say, between the two teams, I really, really like the draft from gillySharks.
I can't discount a Kerosene Greymane, though.
It's true.
Depending on how that coordination is, that can just obliterate any backline if they're able to do it. If Decker Kane isn't able to get those roots to end up following up with the punish on that dive, so it's going to definitely not be the walk in the park, I'd say, for gillySharks, but they definitely do have a chance here with all that wave clear that they have decided to draft.
Well, let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to pull it into game number 1. On the left-hand side, we are going to be having CGL White, with Pwn going to be on the Kerosene, Triple C4 going to be on the Alex Staraza, Soulman going to be on the Kael'thas, Fabre going to be on the Greymane, and Beats going to be on that Muradin.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the red, we are going to have that gillyShark. We're going to have Jinxie Cat on Johanna, Koenig on Sonya, Kage Kiri is going to be on Gul'dan, Stark on Deckard King, and Chess Looter on that Junkrat.
All right, let's go ahead and find out what these teams are going to be doing with these lane matchups. We actually have the Karazim and the Greymane going to be in top lane here from CGL, and I actually like this call so far. Looks like they want to do a 2-3 lane matchup and grabbing the second support to make sure that the solo lane is really, really well held. I kind of like this. We'll see how this adjustment works as Koenig is going to be dove in on. A little bit of damage going out, but they'll be able to make it out just fine.
Yeah, we don't see Sonya as often as picked for that solo lane as she used to be in the past. We see a lot of that URL. Lately, Malthael has also been coming back in that role. So making sure that Sonya doesn't have free reign to simply absorb that experience in the top lane. Although there's not necessarily, as you see, one individual that can really pair into her. So there were 2 resources dedicated up to that Sonya in order to make sure that she's given a bit of a hard time in this match.
I love this how they're needing to readjust this on the side of gillyShark. They're pushing in on the top lane, and I think they're actually holding this over so well that, yeah, chess looters had to come up to top, and their draft really wasn't set up for this on the side of gillyShark. And, like, for example, this bottom lane, you've got a Kael'thas Muradin and an Alexstrasza. That's going to be so hard to play into with just a Johanna Gul'dan and just the old man. He's going to be able to hit you with his cane, but Deckard can't do a ton. Gonna try and get some lockdown on the beats here, but not gonna be connecting as Kael'thas is gonna be trying to do the exact same thing onto Kagekiri, getting some damage out, but they'll be healed right back up as we do have the first Zerg wave starting out here, Cat Peach.
Yeah, first Zerg wave. The channels are trying to be capped at the very least. That living bomb from Soulman, though, is going to be the bane of gillyShark's existence, I feel. I think there's a lot of situations where gillyShark will want to group up and go all in on a target, but having to make sure they're not spreading out that damage, causing those softer characters to go down is going to be really important. But Fabre up in top, going in on Koenig, who has been bullied so far in this entire game. Chesslooter trying to poke from afar with those grenades, having to back up and give up that beacon for the time being. So the focus here for gillyShark right now, can they keep this bottom in control and not lose out on experience?
That's the big game plan here, Cat Peach, and I think that they're going to be doing that fairly well. Also, as these teams progress, I do think that this bottom lane will be a little bit easier for the members of gillyShark, but we'll actually find out here as we do have the Condemn pulling 2 members in here. No big damage onto that Kael'thas, still poking onto Kagekiri as Soulman is just able to get the damage out as they want, and Jinxie Cat trying to step up into Breast, and it's not going to be working out.
Yeah, not working out just yet, but as we know, Johanna is one of the most survivable characters in this game. So she's able to take a lot of that damage for her team and get in there and try to contest that point. 6% only gotten so far for CGL White, but right now the focus is on Kagekiri. That damage coming out from Corruption on the backline has been annoying the likes of their team so far. So being able to get Kagekiri to back off allows them to capture the beacon and is going to allow them to start pushing in this bottom lane, Bahamut.
Yeah, the members of CGL White doing a great job of just holding these 2 points over. Their draft so far is really, really working out for them. This double support is a great way to attack this map, and I think the members of gillyShark are either going to have to wait till they get to some sort of heroic power spike, or maybe they just step in and get a good kill, as Muradin is doing a great job of zoning here. Soulman is not even being targeted. Though we do have Koenig stepping down at this point. They do want to start to get some fights here, as we do have the Muradin getting right out of here, and that will be bottom lane held over by gillyShark, but top lane is just a lonely Junkrat.
Yeah, one lonely Junkrat for the time being. You did bring up a really excellent point on those heroics, and I'm really looking forward to see if gillyShark simply can maintain equal footing in this game until they get those, and try to really utilize the heroic benefit like you talked about. Kagekiri is going to have that Horrify available to be able to split up the team if they chunk too much. We talked about that dive. We talked about Karazim and Greymane going to be in very close quarters to try to get those kills. So having tools like that and being able to follow up with damage from the Sonya, from Junkrat, is going to be extremely important if they want to win this game number 1.
Yeah, and currently we're going to have gillyShark holding over this top and bottom lane. Doesn't look like they're able to move in too quickly on this, so we're going to get a bit of a charge. It's still going to be contested as Koenig will be stepping onto the point. Muradin still down here getting some damage out, as Kagekiri trying to get the drain onto this Muradin, getting them down to half health, but Koenig can't survive too long as they need to back out as they're getting so low. Is that going to be the first kill of the game? No, it's actually going to be 2 kills of the game going over to the members of CGL White, and they will pick off that Johanna and Sonya.
Yeah, and they are now able to reclaim their status here on these beacons, pushing over 70% at this point. They're going to have a very healthy Zergwave coming in just a few moments, and the members of gillyShark have decided not to push the issue anymore. Let's get this first wave clear. And try to reset after that, see what macro pressure we can talk about. As Linehouse was mentioning before the game started, gillyShark loves trying to build up that macro pressure on the game by trying to time out those camp timings. So once they're able to clear this out and reset and think about that, I think they'll find themselves in a much more comfortable position going forward in this match.
I honestly think it's their late game is a lot stronger, as CGL is going to be winning over this early game fairly well. Fabre is going to be having an easy time clearing this up in top lane. Chesler are going to be just trying to get some damage into them and just disrupting this. But bottom lane, the guard, everything in the front line has been taken away. So gillyShark going to be stepping up here. There's a couple of members that are getting a little bit low, and there's a lot of damage going on this Muradin, but they will be held up. That Dragon Form will be used as well. And these teams will make the disengage. No one dying just yet, but a lot of damage going into the members of gillyShark, Cat Peach.
Yeah, speaking of that Dragon Queen, we often see it used on maps like Infernal Shrines as mainly a defensive technique of guarding capture points of shrine areas, but seeing it used to help push the last remains of this Zerg wave, also really great. It's forcing gillyShark to have to take a step back, not wanting to be in those flames, and kind of leaves them simply waiting around for it to expire. So great utilization there coming out from CGL White.
I gotta say, this game, it's 8-8, and there's a little bit of a level disparity starting to grow here, but it's still fairly even. CGL White having a couple upper hands in those early game picks, but overall, this is still anyone's game, especially on Braxis. We just saw that 100% Zerg wave going into the bottom lane really didn't get a whole lot. It got a front gate. Top lane actually got a bit of value themselves too by, just having that siege with Junkrat. Overall, between the two teams, it's still going to be exactly waiting for that 10 talent to see how they're going to get, or how they're going to be trying to get ahead, as Chesler is going to be taking a lot of damage. No kill just yet.
No kill, using that concussion mine to make a bit of a distance from that attempted gank coming out from CGL White, getting really eager to hit that level 10 advantage as soon as possible. They will hit it already a bit before gillyShark if things continue to play out in the manner that it is. But they want to accelerate that process. They want to get that advantage earlier on so they can start prepping these lanes for the inevitable next Zerg wave. And we see them going in on this top wave, trying to get as much damage in, take out the well, which will not be available now for these team fights over the beacon, which puts gillyShark in a bit of a precarious position going forward into the next objective.
Not having your wells in the lane, the sustain, trying to just sit on these points, it's just not going to happen, as we do have 10s achieved first in favor for the members of CGL White. And I talked about a Divine Palm to keep this, to keep Soulman safe, but they don't even need it, honestly. They've got Lifebinder. So,
yeah, the Lifebinder. Just a little thing called Lifebinder to help keep the team alive. No big deal, especially for that dive composition. Cursed Bullet coming out for Greymane to try to take down that very tanky frontline on the side of gillyShark. So that's something that Jinxie Cat will have to very much pay attention to, along with Koenig, making sure that doesn't connect too early into a fight. And not too much of a difference. We're going to see Stay a While and Listen to set up for that Riptire later on. But we're going to have a fight up here in top Baja.
Stark going to be getting dove on by so many of these, actually mostly by Pwn here, as the Riptire will be coming out as well. The Pyro Bomb is going to be spreading to a few members here. Excuse me, the Chain Bomb will be. But they don't kill anyone here, and they end up controlling the point. Meanwhile, though, in bottom lane, Sonya's going to be getting soaked. So that was a 5v4, and they really didn't lose out, as it looks like there's going to be another initiation here. The Stay a While Listen going to be coming out. The Lifebinder will be connecting onto the Greymane. They get that full heal. And Cat Peach, will Murden be able to live through this, or is Kagekiri going down?
Kagekiri goes down. The Dragon Queen is popped, and gillyShark is on the retreat. Jinxie Cat trying to get out, but Barit's coming in and making sure the stun is there, and the kill is secured in favor of CGL White, and that is 2 in favor, giving them a bit of a chance to rotate, try to make sure Koenig can't defend this bottom beacon that has simply been sitting here for that entire team fight Baja. So we're seeing another advantage coming out from CGL White, and this was their map hit, and they seem to be getting everything they want so far out of this first game.
Everything and more, honestly. They've pushed the members of gillyShark back into this kind of turtle position as they're moving on Karazim a little bit in this top lane, or at least just pushing back Pwn here. And yeah, There's just going to be holding over top lane. They stop it at 52%. But the thing is, they need to respond to bottom lane at some point because they have this bruiser camp pushing, or the siege camp pushing in bottom lane, and that armor reduction is pretty big. Koenig does have the clear onto this, and so they'll be continuing to siege into the top lane. They get the Blessed Shield going to be coming out. That is going to be the Horrify, the sleep on top of it, and they go ahead and shut down 2 members of CGL White, evening up this, or trying to even up this the score as it's 4-2 in kills, Cat Peach.
Yeah, absolutely. That was beautiful coming out, using that Horrify again to make sure that those targets had no choice of where they were going. The follow-up of Stay a While and Listen, making sure that they're simply tracked. And the damage coming out from Kagekiri on that Golden was nothing to laugh at. The Riptire coming out, but the Lifebinder will be there to try to make some distance. And Jinxie Cat is going in, for or not, onto Kael'thas. The heal is going to be there from Soulman, but again, that persistent damage is going to call the Phoenix to be pulled out from Kael'thas. And gillyShark now going to return, make sure they have full control of this beacon, and now have control of both and can start getting their own percentages on the board.
I gotta say, that was a great play from Chess Leader to be able to literally hit the concussion mine as Muradin gets the Dwarf Toss onto it. And actually, Dwarf Toss might be on cooldown currently, and Brest is in a bad spot, gonna be able to go over the wall, but just under under 1,000 health, as Soulman will be going ahead and working on that camp. Meanwhile, though, bottom lane looks like Sonya will be pushed off that bottom point.
Yeah, CGL Wait now focusing on making sure gillyShark can't be the one to get any more percentage on this beacon. They have been able to tie it up a bit so far, which is going to give gillyShark a little bit of breathing room to grab this camp on the top. We talked about how much they like that pressure, so causing more pressure up in the top lane, trying to distract the minds of CGL White, of making sure that doesn't get pushed too far into their own lanes. Control going back over to CGL White. Sonya in the bottom trying to convert that beacon, but CGL White does not want to give up top and are looking for a fight now that they have 13 for a little while longer.
Yeah, a little bit of a talent tier advantage, but it will be picked up by the members of gillyShark as well. 13-13, 4-2 in kills. We have Koenig still in this bottom lane. They've been taking a lot of these fights, 4v5 and winning them out, but Karazim's made a rotation, so has Greymane. They might, if they can scout out one member, they might try and move in top lane, and that's exactly, I think, what's going to be happening, as I think we are going to be getting a little bit of a brawl in this top lane. Stay a While and Listen comes out and connects onto the Muradin. They go ahead and get feared as well. That will be the Horrify, or excuse me, the Lifebinder on top of it. They go ahead and get the Phoenix out on top of that. Jinxie Cat stepped up. Cat Peach, though, are they going to be able to get a kill?
Sonya ends up going down in the bottom lane from that gank of Greymane and Karazim, which means they're rotating back up top. So if something's going to happen for gillyShark, they need to make it happy. Kagekiri trying to help take out that Muradin, but the Avatar does get popped to give Breeze a bit of an extra boost in heals. And now with the rest of CGL White coming up top, this is looking bad for gillyShark. They're going to retreat, trying not to sacrifice any more losses here, giving up the percentage, giving up this lead in the next Zerg wave. Triple coming out with that Dragon Queen again to make sure that retreat was forced upon gillyShark.
We actually have a lot of cooldowns being used from both teams, and almost every heroic is on cooldown. But we are going to be getting these Zerg waves at this time. 100% going into the top lane. Once again, members of CGL White going to be dominating the Zerg push. We do have a 50% bottom lane that no one has gone down to respond to. It looks like it will be the Greymane, but I think they should be able to... No, I think they're giving over their fort. They don't want to step up on this, and it's a smarter it's a smarter play in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of folks would be tempted to say, let's at least start to take things out while we still have control of that fort, maybe get a little bit of damage out from it in a team fight, but just the oppression of a Zerg wave this large is very risky. The Stay a While and Listen coming out, capturing Muradin, Koenig and Jinxie Cat going in into Soulman on the bottom, being able to be joined by Pone to stay alive for the time being. The Riptire is going to come out, I think, just to help clear the Zerg wave for the time being, and CGL White getting a lot out of that. They're getting very close to 16 at this point. Greymane was able to single-handedly take care of the Zerg wave in the bottom lane. gillyShark needs to start coming up with a plan of how they plan on controlling this map, trying to catch up in experience, getting close to 16, while also having to be wary of the gank potential coming out from CGL White. They have that dive, and they're not afraid to use it. Karazim and Greymane have been sticking together all this match, trying to get those picks, so something that they have to be fearful for.
Yeah, the other thing, just Greymane saving the fort, that's huge for them. You can see that the experience is starting to really separate between these two teams. 16 is right on the cusp for the members of CGL White. They'll go ahead and just pressure their lanes a little bit more, and honestly, this is really starting to look in favor for them. I don't know what gillyShark can do in this situation. They've turtled up, and that's honestly the best they can do. They've grabbed their camps and put out some pressure. If maybe they can find an off rotation from one of these members, maybe if they catch this Kerosene out of position in some way, shape, or form, but overall, they need to find a level, and they need to do it quick because the beacon phase is not too far off.
Yeah, absolutely. And Conan is just watching down here, too afraid to step out to clear this wave. The rest of gillyShark going to help with that effort just to make sure everyone is protected and no one is in a dangerous situation. But this rotation from Chest Looter is very dangerous, Baha, and the immediate stun lock. And he's gone, my friend. Junkrat goes down in the flash of an eye, and that is one down, level 16. Well achieved for CGL White, and that camp, at least for gillyShark, still pushing a little bit on its last legs in the top, but they still have a bit to go before they can get footing in this game. CGL White focusing on the boss now.
Well, this boss call is a little risky if they try and fight into this on the side of gillyShark. The boss call is great, as we have Kona going to be diving in. That will be the 7-sided strike, as Jinxie Cat will be working in their way. Also, Jinxie Cat's so low, the Horrify came out on top of it, but it didn't connect the way they wanted it to. Joanna going to be falling in this situation. Konig's so low, the dash comes out from Kerosene to keep themselves safe. They're looking for the chase. I don't think they're going to... Oh, I spoke way too soon. It's not going to be Konig falling. It's going to be the old man getting punished here for being a little too slow with the group, and that's going to be Deckard Kane falling as the boss pushes into the top lane. I will note this, though. Top lane fort is going to be falling to the minion wave fairly soon.
Yeah, and that at least helps a little bit for gillyShark, given that the next Zerg wave will be in that top lane. So you can call it a little bit of prep going in before this next phase, but I'm not sure how much they're really considering that with this boss looking down the scopes of their own keep at this moment. All members coming up to try to make this defense, and at this point in the game, this is still a very healthy boss. I'm wondering if CGL wants to take the risk of trying to end the game here, Baha.
They have the potential to do it. Now, they've already gotten the Zerg channel, so that's been going up this entire time. 82% sitting on that. Boss is sitting at just above half health. That will be burned down. It's probably going to take off maybe a little bit of the shielding of the core, but with that Zergling, rush and yell, we will be getting this bottom lane push. Granted, top lane is still about 50%, so that will need to be addressed at some point, but if they end quick enough, they might not even need to really worry about the top lane push.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what they're going to have their eyes set on this time. There's going to be catapult pressure also building up in that top lane that will potentially help out clear that Zerg wave without too much intervention. But they're looking like they're going to go all in. Fabre sticking down here instead of responding to top. They are chunking through this gate. The Sail Wild Listen is going to come at the concussion mine, displacing members of CGL White, and the Horrify from Kaigakiri, but Johanna gets way too deep, ends up being destroyed here in front of her own keep, and the members of CGL now on the chase.
There's so much damage going into this backline, but the thing is, Murden is just being such an obnoxious tank, and they can't get that finalized damage. I mean, I just saw Kael'thas almost die to, I think, corruption damage and poke from Chest Looter, but it just didn't happen because Alex Straza and also Kerosene just healing that right back up. So in this situation, they've got a great push. Now, top lane naturally cleared itself out. They actually get the lockdown onto 2 members here, and they might be able to get the chase in this situation, Cat Peach.
Yeah, absolutely. The chase is on. They are still down 1 member, so they're not going to chase too hard, but they were still able to defend, not taking any damage to their core just yet. So gillyShark being able to survive a little bit more, making the immediate rotation to their siege camp up in the top, and they're going to try simply to do what they can to make sure they can be on equal footing. They're actually going to ignore the camps. I think they're looking for an invade before CGL White ends up hitting 20, which is going to be a terrible position for gillyShark if they hit that, since they are quite the ways away.
This camp is going to be picked up. Murden able to distract. Actually, no, the camp is not picked up. It's stopped by Konig. They steal it away. That was a nice grab from gillyShark, as you noted it perfectly. They don't want to give a bad fight on the side of CGL White because they're on the cusp of 20s. If they start to stagger deaths, this is not the time to be doing it. Jinxie Cat taking a note out of Murden's book and sitting in the bush here just trying to be a nuisance, but they will pop that condemn. They do see them in there, and they'll back off, as this will be another camp picked up by gillyShark, and I don't know how I feel about this. CGL White kind of giving over these map aspects is... I'm not a fan of it, as we do have catapults pushing top and bottom.
Yeah, gillyShark will have to respond. It looks like Junkrat and Gul'dan are going to start clearing those out, and with both keeps gone, this is two separate win avenues for CGL. So gillyShark going to have to make sure they're watching these as hard as they can, while also trying to take these advantages elsewhere in the map, like you talked about, Bahamut. We have Breeds keeping an eye over here on the Bruiser camp as well, alerting the team over here by themselves, so not going to jump in too deep, but having that information is crucial. Even though there's not too much to grab on this map, as all the camps have been taken except for that boss, which gillyShark, do they risk going for it now?
Well, this is not the best idea. No, they're looking for a flank, and they might be able to catch Triple C. They do check that bush, but they dive right in onto the Alexstrasza. No Dragon Form is able to be popped as the Horrify does go out, and that is a great pick for gillyShark, as beacons are going to be activating 60 seconds on that Alexstrasza. 20s are just about to be hit, but now you don't have a healer. There's pressure in bottom lane, not the biggest on earth, but this gives gillyShark the chance and the opportunity to start getting some of their own pressure, and they'll go ahead and grab boss. They'll need to put someone on these points. They don't want to waste this time that they have available, as you know, and letting the opposing team jump onto these points. But yeah, they're gonna be able to get this boss, and they'll be able to maybe even take a fight, as Kerazim's pushing in bottom quite hard.
Yeah, Kerazim is going through bottom. I'm wondering if they're just going to avoid this altogether and try to backdoor, but Pwn instead going to Hearth, simply making sure that wave with those two catapults had some response from the side of gillyShark. And now that they know that Junkrat is up there, this is CGL's time to say, we want to force a fight again. We're going to take try to get a kill. Alexstrasza only has 5 seconds left to be revived, but they might be willing to take it with that level 20 advantage, even without their support, if they start feeling eager.
Yeah, it looks like they'll be able to get 24%, but it's going to be shut down by the Muradin and Kerazim. They'll be able to convert this top point. They'll be leaving, and we start the never-ending. Oh wait, actually, hold on. We have a little bit of an invade. Okay, no, I was about to say, this aggression. Do they actually get the Muradin finally? Because I don't think Muradin has fallen in this match just yet, and they have been in the most risky places. And I'm just like, this is a dead Muradin. Oh, they get away.
Yeah, CGL White having lots of confidence in Breeps, being able to play on that Muradin, not afraid to dive in, knowing that the Lifebinder is going to be there from Pwn if needed. So they're okay with that. Also, the Dwarf Toss out, being able to regen health, keeps Muradin quite a bit alive in these situations. The 7-sided strike coming out onto Stark. Can for Brave finish off the kill? He can't. The gate is there to protect Stark for the time being, Bahamut.
That was a strong dive. They almost got that kill, and that would have netted them a lot in the situation, but they're going to have the rotations come out from Sonya, as well as a couple other members, and they're going to be starting to grab these beacons once again, and gillyShark not getting above 50% for any of these charges just yet. They're going to be needing to find a way to invade onto this. 20s have been achieved. All the members are up and active for the team of CGL White, and gillyShark, they back out of here. They don't want to take a fight without 20s, and Jinxie Cat is getting chunked a little bit here.
Yeah, they got spread a little bit out. Jinxie Cat was over in that top lane. Start coming out with the stay a while and listen, trying to create a little bit more escape time for that. But the focus goes immediately onto Kagekiri. The kill goes out. Gul'dan is down, and Jinxie Cat caught out after the events there ends up falling as well. We now have a 5 versus 3 in favor of CGL White, and they're approaching this core. The Dragon Queen's coming out. I think they're going to try to end this.
Yeah, they want to end this here, as we have a lot of damage going on into Sonya. That will be the pick going over in favor for CGL White, and they are going to start chunking down this core, and that is going to be game number 1 going over to CGL White. And it was a great one, I gotta say, between these two teams. It was a blast to get a Abraxas holdout game.
Yeah, and we saw how difficult it can be to run certain compositions on there. And although the rotations were great coming out from gillyShark, there was a lot of that brawl potential that simply in terms of damage from that Greymane, from that Kael'thas, that CGL White saying that they're willing to throw down here on last season's, I believe, semi-finalists for the division.
Yeah, actually, I do believe you are correct. Yeah, it was gillySharks made it to the semifinals. Then I believe they got knocked out by like Heroes of the United States, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yes.
But even then, I mean, this was a strong showing from CGL White, and we talked a little bit about it with Linehouse. I think either as the game started or even just off stream. CGL White is a new team this season, and they are showing that they are very, very strong, at least in this first match on Brax's Holdout.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually curious from Linehouse, what, based on your keys from the game that we talked about before the matchup started. How much did CGL White end up meeting your expectations there, and how much do you think maybe they've studied up on gillyShark being able to counter a lot of maybe what they knew gillyShark was bringing to the table?
I mean, it seemed to me like they really did do a good job of limiting deaths. I think they only died 3 times that game. Obviously, doing double support helps a little bit in that. But I really loved the comp that they ran for Brax's holdout. Like, having those double support, being able to have 2 on top, 3 bottom, they both can sustain really well. You have the Mirrodin that can disrupt. And it was very clear gillyShark just could not get in, like, and take a point for a very long time. And they couldn't kill anybody. Like, they had no real burst kill threat except for maybe Sonya. And that really wasn't enough with the Junkrat and Gul'dan being more poke type heroes. It just felt like CGL White drafted a comp that they knew could beat what gillyShark had.
And to be honest, it was their comp was so strong. I noted at the start that they running the 3-2 or the 2-3 on that map with the Kharazim and the Greymane in top lane. That's double dive. That means that you can potentially get early game kills and also be extremely aggressive into just that solo lane Sonya, which you do your best. Yes, you're a Sonya. Yes, you're great in the solo lane, but at the same time, you can't sustain into that. And then bottom lane, I had noted it's the same kind of thing. They drafted 3 members that work extremely well together. The entire job of Murden was to just keep the Kael'thas safe. And they did a great job of that. The entire time, no one was able to get even poke damage onto Kael'thas, sitting at like half health for an entire fight, and just no one even tried just to step up because they couldn't.
There was a point where CGL White was taking their bottom camp, and Breach on the Mirrodin was anchoring in that bush. And they only had 4 because they sent Kharazim top, I believe, either to start getting the camp or to clear camp at the top. So CGL was only at 4 members, and gillyShark was there with all 5 members, and Breach sees them coming, and the first thing they do is jump into gillyShark to distract them from the fact that there's only 3 other people behind him. And it worked, right? It delayed him just long enough. No one died, and he was able to get away because the fort was still there. And I thought that was just really a heads-up play. Maybe a little risky because he maybe turned, but he knew they didn't have kill potential to just burst him down, and he could just walk away. And I just thought I was really impressed with his play in that map, and same thing with just the Alex Strauss as well.
No, I honestly think these 2 teams came out with great drafts, but overall, I think CGL White had a plan, and they got their draft that they wanted, and they got to execute their plan. And that's a lot of what some of this game comes down to at points, especially when we're looking in the Div B. There are a lot of people who are extremely strong on specific heroes and teams that are extremely strong on specific maps. And if they get what they want, they know how to run it. They know how to out-macro your play no matter what, because they've got a stronger overall sustain and capture composition. You can just see, like, they whittled down gillyShark to the point where they just kept having to sit and give over these beacons.
Yeah, which isn't usually what you expect from a composition that has that Johanna we talked about. It's very hard to kill her with that hardened skin coming out and simply just being one of the tankier heroes in the game. But quite a few times CGL was able to come in, set up those brawls, make sure that Jinxie Cat was caught a bit out of the rest of her team and being able to capitalize on that early kill, not allowing gillyShark to really go into those situations until the respawn. And we talked about before the game too, CGL White, you know, earlier in the season so far, they had a little bit of a rocky start, but picking it up here, they're showing their teeth, and they're showing they are just so prepared to come in and be risky and maybe make those calls that you would say that's a bit of a yikes for me, dog, but they're still going in for him anyway.
Big yikes from me. All right, just really quick before we lose you for the draft here, Linehouse, predictions based on the last match you just saw and the map we're going into. I'm
actually going to go with gillyShark in this game. On Cursed Hollow, again, I mean, they did pick this map, but actually what I'm going with on them is this one, for this one, is because of their camp control. They still did a really good job doing camp control in that last match. Now, granted, it's a 2-lane map, so while it's useful, it's not as useful, but Cursed Hollow is a whole different story on that. And I feel like their rotations were also a little bit better than CGL White in that last game. And so I think that might give them the edge in this map.
Okay. And Cat Peach, before we get into this?
I mean, I never want to discount gillyShark whatsoever, and this is a very different map. We're going from the smallest map to one of the biggest maps here in Heroes of the Storm with that pick. It's their pick, so I think they have a lot of comfort there. And so they've been known to run some very old school style drafts as well. So they've got a lot of knowledge amongst them, dished away in their brains from past Heroes of Glory. We saw a star pull out that Tyrael not too long ago on Sky Temple, pulling out one of those bottom lane China strats. So I think if they're going to pull it out, they are very well set up to do that here.
Well, let's go ahead and find out. We are going to get ourselves going into game number 2. Thank you for your predictions, Limehouse, but I am excited. Let's find out what these teams get as we swap over to our draft. The one thing I just want to note really quickly, because I didn't see it showing up, and I'm sure Twitch chat is thirsty for it. We didn't talk about the coin flip at all so far. Also, we need to update the team score, and I can do that really quickly. Cool.
Excelente.
So the coin flip was actually won by CGL White. They went for map pick. Sky Temple was banned out by them. Battlefield of Eternity was banned out by gillySharks. Game number 2, Curse Hollow, picked by gillySharks, and game number 1 was Braxis Holdout, chosen by CGL White. Now, we don't even have our first ban yet, and what do you think, Catbeach? Do you think that there is going to be a choke onto the global aspect of this draft, or do you think that we're going to be looking at more of the team fight aspect? You know, things like the Diablo Phoenix combination.
You know, I've seen gillyShark run Abathur, and I feel like if they wanted to pull that out, they would be willing to do so on Cursed Hollow. So I think if they're going to do that, they would want to draft that fairly early in this composition. It's been a while, I think, since a lot of the Abathur compositions have been in their heyday, but we still see them come out every once in a while here in NGS. So I know they're not worried about picking it. It's more about, given that Stark can't play that Samuro, what's kind of the trap card for gillyShark? Because that was always kind of it. So I'm wondering what other surprises they may have prepared going into this matchup.
I actually really like this. They're going to ban out the Hanzo. The boss burn from Hanzo is huge here. They're going to also take out the Phoenix, but it looks like CGL White, they want the priority into the Deckard Cain here. They want that setup, but that is going to be an insta. Oh my god.
What? I saw the Dahaka lock in. I was like, okay, there's their global no Abathur. Yeah. Boom, Abathur along with it. I love it.
I thought the exact same thing. I was just like, oh, this is a Dahaka. We're not gonna see Abathur, and then exactly that. We get the Abathur right afterwards. This is awesome. We have just a Zerg draft so far from the members of gillyShark as we get the Yrel to follow up from CGL White and a Li Ming to poke. Now, the one thing that I do want to note here, I really, really hope that gillyShark bans out the Genji in this situation. Or they go to pick it up after this ban phase, because if I honestly think if CGL White playing that last game they had, they get a double reset composition, it's going to be a hard match for gillyShark.
Absolutely, and I honestly think rather that CGL might be the ones who end up banning it out. Genji would make a great ultimate evolution target for Abathur, so I think both these teams are equally at risk if either pick up the Genji. You mentioned the double reset, and also the threat of the clone. If it's not banned here, and if gillyShark doesn't pick up the Genji afterwards, my mind will be a bit blown.
I have to agree with that. Stukov going to be banned out. They want to choke out that support. We haven't talked much about supports here, and I don't think this is a solo support. So far, no Genji.
Mind blown, Bahamut. Mind blown.
My brain hurts.
It hurts a little bit.
I expect this to be a Genji, and then they pick up a main tank. Honestly, Garrosh is available. That's a great aspect for their team as well. If they really want to go, like, there's some great heroes they can still grab and control a lot of these team fights with. Let's find out. It's gonna be the Jimmy Wright clicking a Johanna.
Raynor and the Johanna, so no double reset for CGL White here. Even with that additional speed, too, of traveling across a very large map. I'm surprised that Genji hasn't been the focus here. But perhaps maybe a hero neither team super wants to play here, or simply because he's been nerfed out of existence mostly entirely for a lot of teams, just not wanting to risk that pickup. But what's the call here now from gillyShark? Running out. We're having some. Excuse me. Hold on. We are having Abathur support.
Kagekiri on Abathur support. I think we've casted this before. I'm pretty sure we've casted Kagekiri doing Abathur support.
Abathur support was on that Tyrael Abathur combination on Sky Temple. What was that, last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that? Where
I think it was last week.
Yeah. But I was not expecting it to come out here. Start just straight up saying, I know I said I was going to sub for support tonight. Kaimo Tripson's not going to join us, so someone's got to fill that role. And Kagekiri saying, hold my beer.
He's joked to me
I'll take that.
He's joked to me on Twitter. He's just like solo Samuro support. And I'm like, that's not a thing, dude. Like, it's no. But apparently, yes. Let's find out here. Let's get into game number 2 as we will be having these teams loading into this. Game number 2, we're going to be having CGL White on the left-hand side, up 1 game, trying to make it 2. This best of 2 series, we're going to Breed's going to be on the Joanna. We'll have Fabre going to be on the oh my god, on the Rainer. We'll have Triple C4 going to be on the Deckard Cain. Soulman going to be on that Li Ming, and rounding it out with Pone going to be on the Urel.
And on the right, we will have Jinxie Trap trying to get a point on the board tonight. We're going to have, did I say Jinxie Cat? I meant gillyShark, but we will have Jinxie Cat on Arthas. Chess Looter will be again on Junkrat. Kagekiri on Abathur. Koenig will be on Dahaka, and Stark on the hero he loves so much. Moving up here through the top is that Samuro.
As I'm just trying to find you. I think I found you.
I'm on Abathur currently, if it helps.
There we go. I got you. Cool.
All right.
Ob's buttons. I was like mashing number pads C and O, and I was like, I'll eventually find my home. But let's go ahead and get into this match, as we do actually have that Samuro clone already starting in the top lane. This is honestly, we get excited about this because the Samuro that Stark plays is really, really a strong macro hero, and it's going into also having an Abathur and a Dahaka. This is so much pressure in a macro sense onto members of CGL White. Like, I think they're just going to honestly just try and outplay them through the map, as well as maybe not even looking to win through a lot of these objectives.
Yeah, I mean, there is, if CGL White wanted to, there is a lot they can give up. They can give up those early few tributes to try to get an experience lead on the board, hit level 10 before the members of gillyShark can, and simply try to snowball from there. So I would be a little bit worried on the side of gillyShark, but if they're doing something as risky, and we see Kagekiri straight up coming into the lane here, not sure that was entirely intentional though. Ends up realizing it, backing out. There we go. Not wanting a dead slug this early into the game to a Urel.
Yeah, actually...
But if gillyShark ends up losing out on that experience, I think it's going to be a bit hard for them to come back later.
No, that is really true. But at this point, gillyShark holding over the experience by about half a level lead, and that was actually, just really quickly to note, that was something that I've had conversations with Hedgie actually about here and there. Why Abathur players do that, and it is literally just a mental game. It's just like, look how weak of a hero I am and how easily you can come and kill me. So I'm going to sit out in the gate, and you can see Urel having that kind of internal battle, like, do I step up and kill them? And then just no, we're not going to be baited into the gate, as we do have a little bit of an experience advantage going over for gillyShark. Top lane, bit of a brawl between these two. We have Stark sitting in the bush, maybe waiting for Soulman to get a little too far forward, but they go ahead and get the blink right out of there, and they won't be getting assailed too early.
Yeah, not too early. The tongue going out on one of these giants, just stun it for a little bit from Koenig. But Stark really, we talk about establishing your dominance on a map, right? Like early in the game. And I think by Stark on that Samuro, going right toward the keep, going in and trying to get that gank onto Li Ming is just making CGL White remember that there's always going to be a Samuro lurking around, and they might not know exactly where he's hiding. So making sure they have that aspect of the mind game as well.
That's a huge thing to consider, as we just saw Stark go in for the flank there, and they completely had to disengage from that. But the thing is, the kill potential is really not the highest on the side of gillyShark, so they're going to need to look for some of these weaker members, as we are going to be getting the poke out from Chess Leader. And I love Junkrat on this map for this reason, but we actually have Triple C4 just tanking all of these shots, as first objective will be going over to the members of CGL White.
Decker Kane tank confirmed. Grandpa being able to body for his children, making sure that the wee babies don't take any damage while he passes out the sippy cup. So beautiful strategy. Stark, though, trying to make Triple C4 pay for that, really going in on the chase here. The clones will come out. Triple gets away for the time being. But yeah, Stark just continuing to lurk there.
I think Kagekiri was trying to hat the right clone and he couldn't do. He was trying to hat the real Stark and he couldn't because they kept switching to different clones. But we are going to be having them sitting in the bush once again. I think they're waiting for someone to step up a little bit too far as mid lane is going to be pressured in and bottom is just going to be Bowden is going to be just getting knocked away from Junkrat, and we should be having the next objective pop up fairly soon. It's going to be in the bottom right as 7s are achieved for both teams.
Yeah, not so easy to get a gank onto that your realm necessarily, but I like the tenacity coming out from gillyShark to at least try or just to hassle that URL a bit and not letting her simply have her way, which I think a lot of people like to do. If you can't beat her, then just leave her alone and try to do something elsewhere. But saying we'll step up and just remind you that we are here and we are not willing to just let you stomp all over this lane without any pushback. But it looks like gillyShark going to actually try to contest this a bit more forward this time around. But with only Stark and JinxieCat, it might be difficult. Chess Leader trying to put out the damage. Coney comes in with the beautiful brush off. Fabric getting extremely low. The knockback coming out from the concussion mine from Chess Leader ends up securing the kill on Raynor. Focus now on Breeds, and that's going to be kill number 2 for gillyShark. Stark working on that tribute, and that was a fantastic battle in favor of gillyShark there.
I said they had no burst, but I completely lied as they went ahead and shredded Raynor and also made Joanna not look so indestructible. And meanwhile, Kagekiri getting Abathur value, just pushing around this map as Soulman looking to get that combo. Oh man, I absolutely I love this mind game that you can get. But the big thing that I want to note here is, as I talked a little bit earlier, there's a bit of a gap forming between these two teams in levels, and it's starting to almost look like a level. This is the thing that you want in this type of composition where you can soak across the map. It's a slower gain. Yes, you're also going to be down a member consistently until 10, but we'll see if it pays off for them as we're going to be half a level away. Next tribute will be spawning in 24 seconds. No curse availability for either team, but this puts them in that curse point range.
Yeah, gillyShark, talking about that experience lead, they've been really great at separating their resources across the map and not being too hasty or too willing to step forward in situations that there's only an Arthas in lane or your Dahaka. They're just passively trying to get that experience, making sure they essentially break even in the lane game in order to get that advantage. And they're going to have level 10s for a bit. The members of CGL White not even going to bother. They're going to focus on their boss instead of going for that tribute. Samoro trying to single-handedly take the boss out for now on the side of gillyShark, and this should be a boss trade. And I wonder how that's going to affect the rest of this game going forward, Baha.
Well, I mean, look at the map. You've got mid lane, you've got a camp pushing it, the Bruisers pushing in mid, you've got Siege camp in bottom lane, you're going to have a boss in top lane in a second. Granted, yes, they do have a boss pushing in top, but they need to react to a lot more things on the map on the side of CGL White. So, yes, they're going to get some value with this, but overall, I think this isn't going to be a great trade if they just try and force into bottom lane with just this boss.
Yeah, absolutely. And the structure damage already coming out. We saw Mule already from Abathur, and so if the structures live, that's great, but with the boss coming down, not being able to heal up a fort as quickly, this is going to be a lot lost that Abathur won't be able to heal her up. The clone goes out onto Arthas. Breeds ends up being separated from Fabre, and the Riptire is going to come out, knocking a few members back on CGL White. Kagekiri and JinxieCat overlapping with that Arthas. The clone will expire. gillyShark will back away from this. Not being able to secure a kill there, I think, is really going to hurt them for this next tribute.
We do have Stark resetting kind of in the bush over here, and the thing is, I've been kind of watching how Stark's been initiating every single time, and it's always on a triple C. They're looking to separate the Deckard from the team, and they're doing a really good job of making sure that happens as the Stay a While and Listen connects, comes out into a couple of members. Stark gets the swap out onto a clone. Not going to be too worried about that, as there will be the hat on a clone as well, and that I'm sure that actually kind of messes with the enemy team, like, oh, that's the real one. You'd only hat the real Samurai as we continue to get this brawl here, Cat Peach.
Yeah, absolutely. Army of the Bed being popped for Jinxie Cat there. Stark backing away, so that's a lot of damage not available. Pwn going in with that leap from your L, trying to Goomba on top of the members of gillyShark. The concussion mine coming out, making a bit more space. gillyShark, they don't have any heroics available. We still have Banshee and Blessed Shield and Wave of Force for Li Ming, so there are a lot of tools coming out for CGL White to continue defending this tribute. The stun's going out onto Stark. The hat's going to come out to try to keep him alive just a little bit longer. In this fight, the longer it goes on, the more I feel for gillyShark. It looks like they're finally going to retreat from this and give it over and accept that they... Oh, the concussion, the grenades coming out from Chest Looter buying a bit more time. And that's going to be that 2-2 for tributes here. So that next one's going to be important for both sides.
Now, this is the thing. During all that, Abathur was just getting lane presence, lane pressure and all that, but the thing is, they really didn't win out too much in experience. It's still about a half a level difference between the two teams, and they're not really getting that big gap that you want to look for in this type of composition where you're going to be hitting 13s way ahead the enemy team, and you can really start to push into them hard. But I actually honestly thought they were going to re-engage. I saw most of their cooldowns come off. I was like, Abathur has a clone up available, so they can maybe go in once again. But no, they backed right out of there. The one thing I was just curious, it'd be really funny to clone Samuro just to have six just orc boys running around a point. Like, I think that I just thought of that. Like, I'm like, Kagekiri, please clone Stark once just so we can see what it looks like to have 6 just smorks just everywhere.
I'm trying to think if I've ever seen that before. And I think if it happened, I would be really, really terrified and confused and sad mostly. But imagine how much, if you have stacking talents on the other team, because all of Samuro's clones do stack, how much that's going to feed any talents that depend on that. So it might be a risk if gillyShark opt to do that. Koenig trying to get the channel here. They end up getting it. Focus on Tapone. Ardent Defender is going to be pop, absorbing that damage. Jinxie Cat taking a lot in response from CGL White. The stay a while and listen comes out. Jinxie Cat ends up falling, but Kagekiri on that clone trying to slow the members of CGL White. But Raynor ends up falling due to that. The root coming out, trying to make a little bit more space, but gillyShark not ready to give this up, end up taking down Urel. They have their eyes set on Breach. Triple simply running, trying to put those potions behind. There is that hardened skin, but Stark is just going in, secures the kill, and that is 3 for nothing in favor of gillyShark here. Sorry, they ended up losing their Arthas, but for 3 kills, I say worth.
Abathur was in bottom, literally sitting on the fort. I honestly think Abathur was slapping bottom lane, because I just saw, like, I was looking at the minimap, and I was like, Kagekiri so far up, but there's no one on the map. The 3 were dead, as you just noted. And they're playing. This is exactly what they want. This is the situation where they can flex their macro skills here, and they've been doing it the entire game. Grabbing camps, creating pressure, being able to sneak on these backlines. This is something that I don't think CGL, much like how CGL pulled out a composition that I think gillyShark wasn't ready for on Brax's holdout. I don't think that CGL White was prepared for them to go to this level of just playing across the map. And I noted at the start, they don't really have to play into many of these team fights, and they'll still win this out with pressure, and they open it up more. That's only going to be more evident.
See gillyShark hanging around this boss. Start coming in to help with the Hap. Opponent coming in. I don't know if gillyShark necessarily, or maybe they do want to stick around here with that 16 advantage for the time being, with all members up in all those heroics. I'm not sure CGL is willing to contest this at all, and they are not. This is going to be a nearly free boss for gillyShark pushing in that bottom lane. We do have quest completion for Samuro as well. So adding a little salt to that wound there of losing their boss. And this is going to give gillyShark an opportunity, if they want to grab their own boss yet again, push into that top lane that already has a keep missing. And it looks like that might be the case here. Double boss play, having that control, being able to step up here. They still have quite a ways away in experience from their opponents, so no worries of them catching up anytime soon. CGL White now playing on the back foot.
CGL White, yeah, on that back foot, actually needing to respond to bottom lane quickly here. Now, granted, it's not going to get a ton of value. We also do have the next tribute spawning a little in favor of on their side of the map here. They'll have that kind of vision area in their favor also. But the thing is, they need to find half a level here before this starts, because it's 15 to 16, and it's really starting to grow still for the members of gillyShark, as I'm just kind of peering around the map here, and they've consistently kept their bottom lane pushed up. Mid lane really hasn't been taken down too much here, so they still have that retreat path and that well to tap in favor for both teams, I do believe. But this is very much in favor for CGL White positional-wise, as they're just aggressing with this boss from this top lane hard.
Yeah, I'd like to see them simply defend. It looks like that's what they're going to focus on this boss, giving up that tribute. No curse point at risk for their opponents, and so they can simply stay here, try to defend their keep as much as possible, make up that experience. But Jinxie Cat getting launched in, I think maybe accidentally from one of those concussions mines. The Riptide coming out to make a little bit of room to defend here. Stark doing a lot of damage on CGL White, but the focus has been taken.
You know what OBS decided to do for the first time ever?
What?
Mute on boot. So the end of that match was unfortunately muted because I was like making sure that everything is going, and so we didn't get we caught the end. We are back live, but unfortunately OBS did crash. I do apologize to stream, right, of course, in the most inconvenient moment of that entire game. Yes, I feel very, very sorry for all of you, but I think you should be able to catch the end of that. You just won't hear us shoutcasting it as Cat Peach. Thank you so much for just taking that over. Unfortunately, I don't know how to work a computer anymore today.
It's okay.
In all
It's
fairness,
been a long day, I think. So.
in all fairness, I got to hear it, and that's what's important.
And you know what? That's the most important part.
Absolutely. It's really what the three of us get to enjoy over the rest of folks. But I suppose we can try to catch people up on what did happen, even though they will be able to see it, hopefully in a little bit. Simply, once the curse grabbed Stark on that Samuro, being able to constantly threaten that back door on the core of CGL White and simply keeping up that pressure with the Abathur hat coming out from Kagekiri. The rest of gillyShark just distracting elsewhere on the map, having to spread the resources of CGL away. And before you know it, Core's down to 50% health, and it ends up going down. So that's how it ended. Very low kill count here. We have 1 kill for CGL White, 8 on the side of gillyShark. So definitely played out far more in their favor than game number 1, I would say.
I was going to add, actually, because you guys mentioned it during the cast, that you haven't seen a cloned Summer before. I unfortunately have, because this was run against my team once, and it destroys the core, just like we saw right here. And so I knew that was coming in this game, and I'm like, oh, they're in for a treat, because it will happen.
Yeah, Lionhouse, actually, I'm interested in gathering your thoughts on that map with a very strange composition with the solo support Abathur. How do you think that went overall, and what are your generic takeaways from that matchup?
Well, one, I'm really happy that both my predictions were correct tonight, because last season I was absolutely terrible at my predictions, so clearly I got lucky. But with this comp in general, I liked it in the sense that it was very clear that gillyShark knew what they wanted to do. They wanted to control this map. They knew they had better macro for camps and everything as a whole. And they ran this, I would say, pretty much to perfection as for what they wanted to do. And clearly the Samuro pick, like Stark, was on point. Like, to see how often they were able to get in the back line with Stark, with Samuro, and just absolutely destroy the Raynor or the Deckard with the combo of the Junkrat bomb and then Stark finishing them off with Samuro. It was fun to watch. I mean, not if you're CGL white probably, but for us it was fun to watch.
No, it was a really, really great matchup, and to see them pull out this solo Abathur was so much fun to. It's just I think they got to play the map they wanted to do here. Sorry, I've been trying to get a message out to gillyShark to find out which member of the team wants to do the interview.
It looks like Chess Looter is already in a lobby, so I'm going to assume we're going to go talk to them.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump up into a lobby with Chess Looter, as I'm in the wrong Discord server, and I'm trying to look for the right channel. So yeah, we'll jump up to lobby 5. Hello, Chess Looter. I think you were sent here for the interview?
That would be correct. How's it going?
All right.
Good. Congratulations on your Game 2 victory. How you feeling after that?
I'm feeling really good. I was a little bit concerned after the first game, but we had a special strategy in store for that second game, and boy, did we execute it well.
I gotta say, it blew Cat Peach and I away when we were in the draft. We were just like, oh yeah, Dahako, Abathur too? So you guys really showed up here. Also, your poke on Junkrat was phenomenal throughout the game. I do have to commend you on that too.
Yeah, for some reason, teams still aren't banning it, so if it ain't broke, I'm not gonna try fixing it.
Yeah, let's talk about game number 1 actually for a little bit, because we were talking about that Johanna and the Sonya that you had on the front line there, and it seemed like in theory you should have had a lot of beacon control, but had a lot of difficulty really commanding that bottom lane. So what can you talk about what you sort of struggled with and what you were trying to adapt to during that matchup?
Yeah, so initially with the start on the 3-2 is really threw us for a loop. We were expecting more of a 4-1 lane matchup, where the Sonya would be able to shine, at which point the Junkrat would be bottom, and we'd be able to use the traps and the mines and all sorts of Junkrat poke to be able to control the point as well. That didn't end up happening. So we had to send the Junkrat top to help contest the very aggressive Greymane and Karazim play, and so in that 3v3, we were struggling to both lane clear and keep up the point pressure. And in addition to top lane, they had heals there with the Karazim, which allowed them to snowball that lane in their favor as well. It was a really good strategy, and we weren't prepared for it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We were kind of wondering how much that dive was going to do overall, but it ended up being a very interesting matchup for sure. But we obviously saw you have a lot of success on game number 2. And when we were going into this matchup, Stark had let me know that he was going to be running support in favor of Kaimo tonight. And so when I saw the Abathur and then the Samuro, I got very confused. Has this been something you've been practicing for a while in different flavors? Is it something that you think is a strategy that there's a reason you keep coming back to it? Because it's not the first time we've seen it from you this season.
So the part that Stark didn't tell you about when he was playing support is that Kaimo could only afford to pay him for one healer game.
I see. It's a per game cost. I gotcha.
Yeah, and it just wasn't in the budget, so we had to pick Samuro there. And
to be honest, when you guys drafted Curse Hollow, I was just like, are they still gonna try it? Like, are they still gonna somehow fit a Samuro into tonight's matches? And you did it very, very well, and almost in a terrifying manner. Like, we were talking in the early game, I was just like, oh man, like their burst isn't that great. We got into the late game. Oh no! Anytime Stark came out of a bush, that was just a dead character in a sense. And then throw them on core post 20, you guys were just absolutely shredding it.
Well, yeah, if you look at our entire composition going down the line, we have people who can take care of themselves. Junkrat with his positioning, Arthas with the self-heals, ghouls, all sorts of survivability tools there. The Abathur's never even a kill target, and with Samuro, he's just a combination of pain for the enemy team.
Yep.
It's really a team that doesn't need a healer.
I gotta say, you guys played it so well. It was so much fun to watch. Before we kind of pass this, Limehouse, do you have any questions for Test Leader before we kind of wrap up our interview here?
What's your favorite cereal?
The hard-hitting questions.
Hard-hitting questions from Limehouse.
The people really want to know.
That's rough. Usually I prefer Frosted Flakes just because they're crispy, and then they, as the milk absorbs into them, they dissolve into a goopy, sugary mess. But I accidentally bought some cinnamon-flavored Life at the store for one of my housemates, and that's what we've been rolling with recently.
See, and we would never have known this if I hadn't asked that question. In all fairness, I was gonna say I really did like your strategy in match number 2. I thought you guys looked pretty good in that sense for the camps and for controlling the map in match 1. You just got kind of outdrafted a little bit, so it was fun to see that match 2 you were ready for it. You knew how to control the map in the way you wanted to win that game, and it was really a very dominating performance. So I just want to say kudos and well played.
Thank you very much.
So before we let you go, any shout-outs you want to give to the team? Or to anybody? Your cat, your dog?
I like the nudge there of like, do you want to shout out your team or...
I'm also like, I'm writing a message and trying to interview, and I'm just like, team interview. Can you have words for team? So, but any shout-outs you have?
I can word good. First of all, the team deserves all of the shout-outs in the world and more. I'm happy to be playing for them this season. Thanks, of course, to Gilly for having this community that allows this team to develop and flourish. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Thanks, Twitch chat. And thanks, of course, to the awesome casting commentating duo.
Thank you.
I mean, we got kind of a trio here today,
Yeah.
but
I was barely here for an quote-unquote analysis, so...
I mean, couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you so much for the interview. Thank you so much for the games. We really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see both of these teams further down the line throughout the season.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank you, thank you. All right, everyone in the Twitchiverse. I think that's the right term. That is going to be wrapping it up for us here, but don't go anywhere. We will be rating over Ripper in just a second. We're going to get more Nexus Gaming Series matches in your face. But before we let you go, we'll kind of jump around a little bit here. Cat Peach, where can people find you? What are you up to? What do you do on the internet?
yeah, I mean, so I'm hopefully going to be around NGS a bit more now that a few other things called Open Division have wrapped up for the season. But you can find me here on Twitch and over on Twitter at CatPeachGG. Do more casting here for NGS, part of the NGS stream team as well. I do a lot of stuff over at Heroes Hype as well, so you'll find me over there. And generally, I made a very disturbing Pervious joke today if you played Doki Doki Literature Club. So if you're into that kind of stuff or into pictures of hedgehogs, you know where to find me and talk about those things.
Bob. And so to Linehouse, where can people find you?
I'm easy. Twitch.tv Linehouse, and Twitter is also Linehouse. I write for the site for NGS for Division B, actually, which I think is why they dragged me in here. And I also play for a team that's really terrible in Division A, subject to change. But I will be casting another Div B match later tonight, actually, if anybody wants to check that out. Regen Blue versus the Guardian esports team.
And what time will that be on? Just so people know what time to go to Linehouse.
8 p.m. Pacific time, so about 15 minutes.
15 minutes, you're going to have another match. Just go check out his stream. I am Bahamut. You can find me at twitch.tv/Bahamut Gaming, on Twitter as Bahamut Gaming, everywhere on the internet as Bahamut Gaming, even in your LinkedIn. So I don't have a LinkedIn. But no, thank you all so much for checking out the games, for cheering. Thank you for sticking through with these little technical difficulties that we had. But at this point, we are going to be rating over Ripper. They are going to be casting some more Nexus Gaming Series matches for you all. But that wraps it up for us. Thank you all so much for these games. Thank you for hanging out. This has been an absolute blast from Cat Peach, Linehouse, and I. That'll be it.
And can I incentivize people to go to Ripper because there's totally a Cho'Gall game going on right now.
Do
so
it.
please
We're
go
ending
check
stream.
that out.
We're ending stream.
I'm working on.
Thank you all for hanging out. We will see you next time. Goodbye.